Tuesday night live stream. I'm Denise. I'm here with Neil. Let's hope it connects soon. I'm just making sure we live event in 2, 1. There we go. I think we're live now. I think we're
Might be.
live.
Who knows? It's always
You know,
possible.
you don't know how long the delay is, and then I'm like kind of embarrassed, um, because yeah,
No,
it's
I think it's like a 5 or 10 second delay. Is
oh
what I
there we
think it is. To
oh
be
there we
honest with
go. All right,
you.
now we're live. What does it say?
I think it's like
Yeah.
a 5 or 6 seconds. I don't know. Who knows?
So it didn't get to record our greeting. So hi, we're here. Happy
Oh, it
Tuesday.
records the greeting. It just is. It's behind. And the
It's
people who are
lagging.
watching us now, right, will know that we're actually 5 seconds ahead.
That's it. It's like a time warp. We're ahead.
Right.
So what's going on, Neil? How you doing?
Oh, just peachy. Just peachy.
Isn't it? Isn't life just a peach? Um,
Life is
and
something, that's for sure.
let me tell you. Let me tell you. You know, I got the video posted that we did over the weekend, and I thought that that was a really good our latest one, which was the topic you wanted to talk about, which was let me go and see if I can get that for
Was
us.
that the dollar? Was that where I talked about the dollar?
That's the one. Yeah, yeah,
I am now convinced more than ever that what I said the other night, right? Go watch the video about the dollar is now going to happen. I everything seems to be lining up toward toward that end, and I will say it again and again and again. What we are witnessing is the private equity corporate takeover of the United States. Okay. Basically, privatize everything, sell off all the assets, right? Extract as much wealth as possible, leave the taxpayers with all the debt, okay? And then the currency switches over to the yuan, and the only thing that's left here in the United States is the debt. We have no assets, we have no revenue, we have nothing. And at which point in time, everything collapses. The entire economy collapses, and the wealthy people end up taking all the resources and all the assets, and leaving us holding the bag. I really
nice.
believe that. I it's hard to see that not happening now. Like it amazes me, and I don't know like what it is that it amazes me that other people don't see it. Okay, like it's so obvious to me. Okay,
Yeah,
and you know maybe it's the background that I came from. So I don't really talk about my background much. I mentioned it to you, Denise, today. I'm not even sure that I even discussed it with you at any point in time. Today may have been the first time you actually heard about it. But I came from a private equity background.
mm-hmm.
So basically, private equity kind of blew up in the '90s, and when I worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers, I worked in their private wealth management division, or offshore private wealth division, and that's what we did. We did private equity. We
Yeah,
did private equity and mutual funds, and then from there I moved to Goldman Sachs and their private wealth management group, and I literally, you know, you think, right, that this is like free and fair and open market, but I saw firsthand like Goldman Sachs knew like 2 years prior to the tech bust, right, in 2001. They knew 2 years prior to that what was coming.
yeah,
They saw it. They actually changed the laws so that they could dump a lot of their private tech investments onto public funds, right, into insurance, into these retirement funds, right, public retirement funds.
yes,
Okay. And they sold it to them at whatever value they valued it at the time, and then they bought it back for like 30 cents, 10 cents, whatever it was on the dollar. once the bust
Wow.
happened. So it was like the idea of they knew it was going to crash. They needed to offload it, right? So that way they can change their valuation at the end of the day. Okay. All while collecting management fees from it. It was like, you know, it really kind of changed my view of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and of how I viewed things, because I thought, right, like was brought up, believe it or not, like I mean, as much as everybody says I was a Democrat, I was kind of brought up in Orange County, in that Republican world, you know
Yes.
so i
Yep.
believed i believed wealth was created by working hard, and that banks made money on margins, and like it was really the first time that I had seen that. And then I read a book by Michael Lewis, about Solomon Brothers, that he did, right.
Oh, I
I
remember
think it was
them.
called, yeah, right, I think it was called the Flash Brothers or whatever. And it changed my view on everything, right. It made me realize that the markets were really sort of like a Ponzi scheme. I know that people have heard that a million times, right? But even more so now than they were back in the 90s, right? I've talked about that a million times. In the 90s, there were over 7,000 publicly traded stocks, and today there are right around 3,000. So you have that same pool of money and being invested into publicly traded stocks, okay? But now you have less stocks to actually transact in.
And that's a result of a lot of merging, correct?
Correct. So
Yeah.
that's when you have your LBOs. You have a lot of like private equity money that entered the market, right? The idea of taking companies private, consolidating, merging, those type of things. We've seen all that, and then throwing it back into the public market again. So there was a lot of that. And when people talk about Dow, right, you have to look at the Dow not from the perspective of what it's trading at, but the volume of money that's in the market today versus the volume of money that was in the market back then, adjusted for inflation and adjusted for time value of money. Okay. And what you would see is essentially what I'm saying, that it's the
Yeah.
same amount of money, just in less stocks, right? Um, so I don't know. It's very, I from my perspective, you just looking at it, seeing the grift, seeing the extraction of money, seeing the consolidation in the marketplace, seeing that these companies are getting bigger and bigger, seeing that nobody is stopping the train, right? And knowing my history from the 20s and 30s, it's pretty clear to me exactly what's happening, that they've taken that private equity model, right, the corporate model in the 20s, that vertical integration, those economies of scale that Carnegie and Rockefeller were talking about. Okay, what they've done is they've essentially consolidated that to, hey, you know what, we don't need any of that, we could just extract wealth, we don't need to actually build anything, we can just extract wealth. And which is what they've been doing to our entire society and economy. I mean, that's why Toys R Us no longer is around. That's why Sears is no
True.
longer around, right? That's why newspapers have gone by the wayside. You know, um,
Yeah.
believe it or not, most people like the biggest scam perpetrated on the American people was the idea that newspapers didn't make money. Okay,
I've heard
right?
that.
It was honestly the big one of the biggest scams, right? So what happened was is like during the 80s, right? If your company earned 15 to 20% margin, right? Like profit, you were considered to be a profitable business. That was actually a really good business model.
That is a
Okay?
good business model.
Right. That was the business model of newspapers. Newspapers actually had that profit model. And then and they did really well, and they were able to generate a stream of cash and a stream of revenue. There have been books written about this, so this isn't just me saying this. There have been books written about this. um and what ended up happening is all the private equity got involved. They were like, oh, this is a good business for us to be in. They would buy it up, they would start extracting the cash, and then they would turn around and say, well, you need to make 30%. Do you know how hard it is to go from 15 to 20% to 30%?
Just
Right?
just go and just go and charge the customer more,
Right.
and find ways to cheapen up your costs. Cut
But you
salaries, make everybody work twice as hard, get
and
rid of
cut staff.
benefits, and
Right.
cut staff. Yep.
Yeah. But that's exactly what happened in the 90s. That's what people miss in the 90s. Everybody thought the 90s were so good, but what they missed was that idea that businesses went from a 15 to 20% profit model to a 30% profit model. In fact, one of the biggest and worst offenders was the healthcare industry, right? Who
Really.
demanded 30% profit margins, right? So whereas you look at, right, Medicare, okay, which everybody criticizes, they have 5% admin costs, okay?
Okay.
Right? They only have 5%. So 95% of everything they take in and spend, okay, goes directly to care. Okay? You look at these healthcare companies though, right? Every dollar that you give a healthcare company, 30 cents goes right to their bottom line of profit.
Wow.
Has to. Okay? Then you add the admin fees, which the admin fees are anywhere between 10 to 15%.
Right.
Okay? So now all of a sudden you're at 40. So only 55 cents of every dollar given to a healthcare company goes to actual care versus
Wow.
versus 95%, right, of Medicare. Okay? And that's what we don't talk about. We have the most expensive healthcare system in the world, but it's because of that, right? It's the idea of we're putting profit before people. We're putting profit before our nation. We're putting profit, like, you hear our congressman talk. Everything is about profit.
Oh yeah. Yep. Waste,
We
fraud,
have to
and
give tax
abuse.
breaks. We have to give tax breaks because we need to increase profits. Everything is about profit. The entire society has become profit crazy. Okay, and it doesn't matter, and to the point now where we've commoditized people, right? Like, we've commoditized people to the idea that the more people we incarcerate, the more profits the rich people can make. So that's good. And then they say, well, that's good for America. They turn around and say that's good for America.
That is not good for America. It's not good for any of
No.
us. Look,
Right.
I have always said, like when it comes to things like cancer, right? Cancer is more profitable to treat than it is to cure. You know, if it ever
Yep.
becomes more profitable to cure and get it off the books, they will find a cure. But right now, it just, you make more money just keeping them on stringing them along for as many years as you can. Let them carry out that, cut a little piece out there, have a little chemo over there, and just stretch it out for years and years on end. And
But
that's where we are with health.
but
And
but that they've taken the next step.
yeah,
You've seen that. They've taken the next step, right? So the idea now isn't about profit for healthcare companies or this. It's about what business model is the most profitable to extract the most wealth.
and what do you think that is?
Okay? So, right, we are no longer consumers in this society,
So we're the product.
right? We're the product now. We've become the product. Okay? Right? Like, I mean, it's fucking scary. I mean, you start looking at, like, you go back, watch our video about the DMV. You will
Yeah.
see we have become the product. They they are now watching us. They are now know exactly where we're going, what we're doing, and it's not an individual anymore, right? Like I say they, right? It's AI,
Yeah. Yep.
and AI will if they want to, they can look up somebody and they can spit out all this information on that individual now, and it's really kind of scary when you think about like all the freedoms. The right loves to talk about freedom, but all the freedoms that they've given up and we've given up.
And Americans have given up, period.
Right. Just people in general. I mean, this isn't just the United States. I mean, this is kind of worldwide,
It is
you
worldwide.
know? I
Yeah.
mean, we're sorry.
No, no, I was just going to say, and it's scary to think that the biggest control of all of these platforms, all the different AIs, and much of the news media and major, major broadcasting is all, and some of the top social media is all handled by like 3 or 4 people. That's it. Own it all. Own it all. And they're all
It's
working
it
together.
and here's the thing. Every single one of them is on an Oracle server.
Exactly.
Okay? So when you start thinking about that, okay?
That one
Right?
guy, Larry Ellison, owns
That
it all.
one guy, Larry Ellison, okay? It becomes really scary. I mean, like this isn't the America our founders, founded. This isn't the America that most Americans would want. Like if somebody were willing to have a rational conversation, right? They wouldn't want this. Like, you pointed out, somebody keeps commenting on our page, right? Like keeps commenting on our videos. Um and it's just I don't get it. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense to me,
Yeah.
because it doesn't
Somebody,
seem like people are actually listening to what I'm saying. I'm not
right.
saying anything from a Democratic standpoint or a Republican standpoint. I'm just talking about facts. That's it.
Well,
Address
here's
the
the
facts.
well, what it was on our DMV story with regard to that AI being integrated, and just for a quick review, a new AI system by a company called Fast Enterprises
Hmm.
is integrating its AI into our motor vehicle DMV records. So it ties in our driver's licenses, our registrations, and a host of other things, along with all the cameras that we have, all through the cities and streets, all those cameras, facial recognition. So they can track where we go with our cars at any time and like create profiles, and they can tie this in with I guess the DHS you were saying. So it's a
Well,
really it's
right.
oh, go ahead. But
Yeah. No, no, yeah. They can tie. Anybody has access to it now. Like the
it's
federal government has access. Everybody has access to it now. The authorities have access to it. They can create driver profiles on you. They can take away your license. They can tie you to crimes. And now with AI, who the hell knows what the hell they can do with it?
yeah,
Like this is like George Orwell 1984 type crap.
on steroids.
Right.
Yeah.
Even he couldn't
They
think of some of this
he
shit.
couldn't have
Even he
thought of
couldn't even
this.
get right. Right.
Some of this stuff. And so, somebody, I don't know if they watched the whole video or not, but at the end they were like, "Oh, so they have my big information, no big deal." And it's like, you're okay. It's just interesting how the the narrative on the right has flip-flopped. Did not want overreach. They did not want to be watched. They did not want surveillance, right? We all complained about the Patriot Act because we were concerned about the surveillance that was going to be tied with that. And now they're like, oh, well, since our side is the one doing the surveillance, we're absolutely fine with it. What?
Yeah, I don't yeah, I don't see that's the whole thing. I never I never
I,
thought that. I mean, if you listen to the dog whistles and you knew what the dog whistles were, I think this is kind of what they always wanted. They always wanted authoritarianism. They always wanted fascism. I mean, these are people who idolized Adolf Hitler.
well,
Like
so
I went
if
to
the
a gu-
we're talking the far right. Yeah, those people are who
No,
they
I don't
are.
even think, I don't really think you are. I really don't think you are, right? Like I went to a gun show like here in Orange County,
Yeah,
okay? Right? With a couple of friends, right? I went to a gun show and a lot of the gun dealers had Nazi paraphernalia on their table,
really.
like swastikas and all this other kind of crap. So like,
Is
you know, it's like the underbelly, right? It's there.
it's
You
there.
know, they don't they may somebody may deny it, they may not talk about it, but this is what they idolize this shit. This is what they wanted, you know?
Well, now
And
they're
and
getting it.
and it's pretty freaking clear too by the comments that you get on posts. The fact that people laugh at at just inhumane things happening to others. They laugh at that, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just like owning the libs. These are just like cruel people. Like I've heard it said numerous times, right? Like they don't care about human life. They just don't care. They feel like everybody deserves like pain because somehow they were in pain, right? Like they experienced
Right.
pain, whether it be childhood trauma, whatever it is. And so they want everybody else to feel like them. So this cruelty that they want to exhibit on other people, like, and then when the cruelty happens to one of them, they get upset that you're not going to be sympathetic to them about
Yeah.
that.
Yes. This is starting and this is happening. I mean, you see about this in different places online. Some people coming out and being like, they're suddenly becoming aware that of things we've been screaming about for a long time now. And so they're not getting a warm reception when they come out and say, "Oops, I was wrong." They're like, "Oh, we're like, you know what? We've been telling you this." And so they're expecting sympathy and an
Right.
open embrace. And after the way you treated us, right? And you want us to now forgive and forget. Yeah. So, it's really stunning. And you know what? And talking about the pain thing, funny how a lot of these people are happy with what's happening in Iran because we're liberating those people. And it's like they're only showing you one piece of the population that is cheering for this. Most people are cheering death to America right now in Iran. There's a whole
Uh,
other side to that.
listen, there is a big difference. There is a big, listen, there's a big difference, okay, between people wanting to rise up and institute that change on their own from internally inside your country to having an outside force impose upon you, right? Right? Not what you're asking for, but their will.
Right.
Okay? There's just a big difference. And I'm sorry to say it that way, right? Like think about it from America's standpoint, okay? Right? If we didn't fight back in the American Revolution, right? And France just came in and said, "We're liberating America," right? And setting up French, a
We're putting our
French,
own little French
Commonwealth,
dictator in.
right? Right, our French dictator in, okay, as opposed to us asking for France's help. There's a big difference. There's
Right.
just a big difference, okay? And you know, listen, Iran has a lot of reasons to hate us. They have a lot of fucking reasons to hate us, okay? And Americans just have never accepted that story. They've never accepted the story that we went in there and we overthrew a democratically elected government because of BP
Yep.
Amoco, right, or now BP, right, British Petroleum. Um, because they took the oil away from BP. They took the
Right.
oil contract away from
Well,
BP.
they
Okay.
nationalized it, right?
Yeah, they nationalized it. They took the oil. It's basically an oil. They took the oil contract away from BP, you know, and they had a democratically elected government. It was a free society, and then the U.S. installed the dictator, right, the Shah of Iran, who brutalized his own people,
Yeah.
right, for 25 years, to the
But it's
point where
how
they
they did it.
overthrew it.
It's how
Yeah,
they did it. They did it by using propaganda and getting people to turn against their government, which made it
right,
easier for us
right.
to do that, for us to put a person in there. And the Shah was awful, so they rose up and they removed him.
And
And when
and and yeah, no,
they ended up with
and
something worse.
right. And then with the Iran hostages, they wanted their democracy back. They overthrew the Shah, and they were concerned that the CIA would interfere. And there were Americans in the embassy, and they thought that the Americans were CIA. And we still don't know if to this day whether they were or they weren't. There's been rumors going around either way. Should they have taken the hostages? No. But at the end of the day, they were concerned. The hostages didn't die. They were let go, right? But again, I go to, you notice how they were going to release the hostages, and Reagan kept them, because Reagan wanted to be the hero. And Reagan negotiated with them behind closed doors to have them keep the hostages longer than they were
Yes.
supposed to be kept, because they were going to be let go earlier, right? Like, this is history, people. I always get angry. I always don't understand the anger to history, right? Like just
Because
because you
history is
didn't
only
know it.
5 minutes for a lot of people. Nobody will
Well,
read. Nobody remembers.
well, because everybody seems to want to make up their own history, and it's like we've listen. Nobody is out what is it? We're a capitalist country. Nobody is out capitalisming us. Okay, better than China right now. Okay, okay. I mean, let's be honest. Listen. I don't want to be communist, but they are out capitalisting us like every freaking day.
Well,
Okay,
people forget that there are oligarchs in China. There are wealthy billionaire Chinese in China.
there are oligarchs everywhere.
Yes,
Okay,
and
and again, it goes to the oligarchs are the ones, right? Either they make the decision on whether there's going to be a middle class. Sad but true, they make that decision, and they gave it to us under FDR. Okay, FDR decided that we were going to have a robust middle class because he wanted to save capitalism. At some point in time, the oligarchs decide that they don't want to have that, and they take it away. Just
and that's
happens.
where that's kind of where we are. But what's interesting that right now the country with the strongest middle class right now is China.
Yes.
They've sort of taken that tip from us in the past, and they've invested in their infrastructure, and they've increased the incomes of their working class, and people are living better, and they're still living,
It
under
had
a
nothing to
dictatorship,
it,
but
it had nothing to do with us though. It had to do with them. It had to do with Tiananmen Square. People rose up. They started becoming violent. They started rising up against the government. The government realized that they can't hoard wealth, right? In order to be able to save communism, okay, and to save their oligarchy that they have in China, they said, okay, we're going to give a little bit more to our people. Okay,
mm,
it really comes down to how scared the billionaire class is of the masses. There are more of us than there are of them. They do worry about that. That's the only
yeah,
thing that they worry about. I mean, think about it this way: if payday came and you didn't get your check, what would you do?
be pretty fucking pissed. We'd all
Right?
just walk out.
You'd
National
rise up.
strike.
You'd rise up against your bosses, right? Like against your company owner. You'd rise up. You would say, "I want my money. You owe me money." Right? The your paycheck, think about it this way. Your paycheck is the bare minimum that they could give you so you don't rise up and kill them. Right? Like, I mean, think of it that way, right? Like, that's what it is. Your paycheck is the bare minimum that they've determined that they can pay you so you don't rise up against them. That's it.
Oh my God. So where do we go from here? Come on. Come on, folks. Oh shit, sorry. I just shook the whole camera.
Tell me I'm wrong. How is that wrong?
You're not wrong. That's the
How's
problem. The problem is
wrong?
nobody seems to be realizing they're still on the left and right thing. They're not realizing it's them versus all us little people. They just love us fighting with each other.
There used to be a theory. There used to be a theory, okay, that the CEO of a company shouldn't make more than 10%, right, more than the lowest paid individual in the company. Okay, all right. I understand that economies changed, markets changed, and that was a long time ago. All right, that could be, I think it rose up to it moved from like 10% to maybe 25%. It was pretty reasonable, and then it was like 100% at one point in time, right? Now it's like over like 1,000 or 5,000% more.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's insane. It's insane. Like Jeff Bezos makes more in like 1 minute, okay, than most of his employees make in a year.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
if you go back to the 80s, because we've been talking about the 80s a lot, you remember that's when Japan was the thing, right? Right? Japan and Japanese cars, and sort of Japan was sort of like the China of the time. We were kind of kicking Japan around. But then they grew and they started they started building cars here in America. And the one thing that the Japanese used to point out to us was like, boy, your CEOs make so much money. Yeah, it was kind of like a joke to them about how far of a divide it was between the top level executives and all the rest of the employees. Like, they thought that was ridiculous. They were more involved with putting out paying their employees well enough so that they would put out a product that they could be proud of together. You know what I'm saying? And it was, we're so far from that now. They don't give a shit. Quality is shit.
It's every people should have woken, like, after Enron collapsed, right? Like, I couldn't like, after Enron, it really confused me to no end
That nobody woke up.
Remember, I worked for Arthur Andersen. Okay, so I know exactly what happened with that. But all right, every tax break that occurred after Enron really confused the hell out of me, like, to no end. Okay, because Ken Lay sat there, okay, and he was a very highly paid CEO, okay, and he testified in front of Congress that he wasn't involved in the day-to-day operations of the business.
Yeah.
Right? Now I'm a shareholder of a company. Okay? I'm paying my CEO millions and millions of dollars, right, to manage that company. Okay? And he goes and testifies in front of Congress that he doesn't manage the day-to-day operations of the business. Why the hell am I paying him millions and millions of dollars? Yeah. Right? Like, like, the whole point of work, right, is value. Okay? So we talk about the value of work in terms of income. What value are these CEOs bringing to the table, okay, in terms of product? What is their actual deliverables to the board, to the shareholders, right? It can't just be, right, like, you look at Elon Musk, Tesla's freaking dying. He's like literally selling like cars from one of his companies to another company. They're giving him trillions and trillions of dollars, right? He's just extracting wealth from Tesla, but shareholders are eating it up. It makes no sense to me.
It's
Makes
you.
absolutely
You
no sense
already
to
said
me.
it's not about the product. It's about the
Right,
profit and how you can derive it, even if you have to find some way, whether it's cutting staff, selling off a chunk here, right? It's like it's just like that guy who owns that warehouse in Chester.
right.
That may or may not have a
Icon.
nice facility.
Right,
Carl Icahn. Look what he did to
right,
TWA. Was it TWA or Pan Am? It was one of those two.
right.
And he sold off in chunks. He destroyed TWA, and he raided their retirement funds. Well, Ken Lay kind
Yes,
of did the same thing with Enron when he went
yes.
and told the employees, well, we're getting a whole new 401k service. So you're going to be locked out of being able to transfer your money, right? For a couple of months until that's all worked out. And by the time those 3 months lapsed, Enron plummeted into the pink sheets. And everybody who had their entire 401ks was all Enron stock, and it was all gone. They lost everything.
Well, look at the companies today. So, right, like you give these CEOs tons of money, okay, and what real value are they bringing to the table, right? So everybody like they're coming out with these $1 million paydays. The executives are coming out with these with taking extracting all the wealth from these companies, all the profit, all the cash, all the wealth from the company, and they're leaving right what's left to the shareholders. So the shareholders aren't gaining wealth. They're basically gaining a liability for eventually with the shell of the company when it tanks. Okay, right? It's very few people that get lucky and be able to ride an upward wave. I mean, you look at the market over the last whatever many years, you could see there really hasn't been too many gains, right?
Right.
These companies have really been flat, okay, right, because you look at it, the company goes up, the stock goes up, then we hit a dip, and then it goes up, and then you hit another dip, right? They go up and down.
Yeah.
You if you're lucky enough to get out on an upswing, good for you, but did you really make that much money off of it at the end of the day? When you account for time value of money and you account for uh inflation. When you account for those two things, are you really making any money? And not only that, then you have to add in the fees that you're
And in
paying,
fees.
right, on top of it to brokers and managers and all
And
that
they
kind of
make their
stuff.
money either way. They get those fees either way, both ends. Don't
Right.
matter.
Right.
So,
So you're what you're doing is you're earning maybe what 3 to 5% on your portfolio. You're giving 1% to your manager, right? If you have a couple of ETFs in there that then you got 0.5% or 1/4% that you're giving away there, right? Like at the end of the day, what are you getting?
nothing. I mean, I guess you just have to wait. Good things come to those who wait. And then by then, these assholes, these oligarchs have stripped it all dry, and it ain't worth nothing.
they're they're just extracting wealth from our
That's my point.
society, and the idea is that we are now the product. We are now the people. They've decided that we no longer add value. They can get AI to do our jobs. They can get AI to do everything. You know,
And then
really,
get
what
AI
they
to
need,
AI to police us, to watch
and
us.
and be and at the end of the day, the really disturbing part, right, is the baby aspect, right? Well, now we know that they're raping and killing babies, but they want us to have babies, okay? And they're taking all the teenage immigrants who are pregnant and they're shipping them down to Texas. They're isolating them and they're stealing the babies, right? Like, I, it's so disturbing, right?
Yeah.
When you start like when you scale out, when you like look out and you kind of look down at everything, right? And you see there it really it the game is rigged
By the
in
way,
every
this has
way.
been going on since July. Like this, that we're hearing about this now, but it's been going on for months.
Yeah.
And what, a couple of reasons why. Why in Texas? Well, in Texas they have some of the most restrictive abortion laws in the country. It has chased away gynecologists. They have left the state. Already, DHS is not providing health care to detainees as it is. So these young girls, first of all, how are they getting pregnant to begin with? Well, they're in detention. So,
Well,
that
it's
raises a
usually
lot
like
of questions.
rape or
Well, yeah.
incest is what they're saying. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And so then they gather them up, separate them from their families. Some of these girls, you got to figure a lot of them are very young, 13 years of age, 14 years, and they're being transferred to this closed off ward at the Dilley detention. I believe it's the Dilley detention center. I think that's the one in El Paso. And
It's
that's
it.
what's happening.
I mean, I don't need wanting to get on that tangent. I just feel like people are missing the picture, right, of what is actually happening. And you know, the these people that call themselves MAGA, these people that are like for this is a death cult. Okay, this really like to me, I view them now as a death cult.
I've
Okay,
been doing that for a
right.
while.
These people are just idiots, right? They want to extract all the wealth. They want the entire society to crumble. They want all our infrastructure gone, right? They think that if America collapses, that they will own the libs, right? Like, I mean, it boggles my mind. It really is a death cult. Like I can't think of them in any other way other than that because it makes no sense to me that people would want these things in their community, that they would look at these things and say I'm okay with this, right? Like, service members die and he's talking about drapes in the freaking ballroom. Like, I mean, you know if it was any other president, we
And
would
they're
be calling
cheering
for.
that.
And right, so like again, I just go with uh, the premise of their arguments are like are foolhardy. They don't make any sense. They don't fit any facts, right, in the world today, right? I think America is the number one country in the world for propaganda.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
like
that's exactly where I was going because that's
oh, I'm
really
sorry.
what it is the messaging. So, you know, look, I sent something to you with the Pismagistus, and he was talking about identity politics, right? And he was saying the point about identity politics, the difference between believing in a set of ideas or believing in what your political leader is. That the identity is you are so focused on the identity of the political leader that you've sort of abandoned your ideas and your principles in
Right.
favor of whatever the leader of that ideology, in this case Trump, is for. Remember that in 2024 the whole campaign promises he was going to expose the pedophiles and end all the wars. Well, now it's 2026 and he's protecting the pedophiles and starting all the wars. and you're and the followers are fine either way. They're not, I mean, now some of them are waking up. Like mostly it's the young people, the ones who are going to be fighting the wars are saying, "Yo, wait a minute. That's not what you promised us." But people in our age group and the boomers, they just go with it. Whatever he says, they go with, even if it's 100. It's a 180-degree U-turn from what the whole campaign and the whole MAGA ideology was until now, right?
But there see that's exactly it. There was no ideology, right? There was no ideology. There was never anything there. There was never anything of substance. Okay? It was all right? You give me power, I will own the libs for you. That was it. That's the promise that he made, and that's the promise that he kept. And everything he does that outrages, people like us and other people who are normal, right?
The
They go
normies.
nuts. They're right. They're like ha 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 ha. They laugh
And then they don't
because
see the harm it causes them. They're like okay with this. Whatever.
because these people are already broken. They're already
Good
broken.
point.
You
Sorry.
know,
Still
they're
sick.
they're already broken in such a way where all they can think about are themselves, okay, and they just want to inflict pain on others. They have so much pain inside them. They just want to inflict pain onto others, okay, and you know it's like well, maybe they need a hug, but I ain't gonna be the one that fucking hugs them. you know like that's just the way it is.
Yeah. It's 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 uh it's sick where we are, you know.
It is.
But it is interesting though because I guess I saw a post I was watching the other day just after this whole Iran thing began. And someone was like, "Well, I'm so happy that they're being liberated from their abusive, terrible leaders." And I'm like, a month ago, our leader told them to get into the streets and stand up against your government, and I'm going to be right there to protect you if any one of you got harmed. And at least I think the estimates are upwards of 30,000 people were slaughtered in the streets. He didn't show up to protect them. Now he shows
I
up.
don't I don't I don't like I don't like that number, like that's the same number that I keep hearing of number of immigrants in this country. The number keeps quadrupling every time fucking
No,
somebody
not 30.
says it.
I said 30,000, not 30 million or
No,
17
but
million
you
or
but
5
I've
million.
heard 10,000, I've heard 5,000. You know again it goes to
Tens
the
of
number keep.
thousands. We'll put it that way. It could be
No, but
10,000.
is that true? Who reported that? Where is that information coming from? Is that
I think
information coming
drop
from the
sighted.
United States?
No, I think a lot of it comes from like Drop Site News or ProPublica. So you can't get, you're not going to get that in here. I don't even think I don't even think the mainstream reported like that to the public.
I just have a,
It's
a
like
hard time.
it's like the
It's
bombing
hard
of the
time.
school. It's like the bombing of the school, right? On the day this whole war began, roughly they estimated maybe about 1,000 miles south in the southern part of Iran, a girls' school was hit with a bomb. And it was interesting because one of my friends put a post up, and there was a conversation on there, and someone who was watching mainstream news says it's hard to know. I don't think it was that many girls that were killed, and I'm like, Drop Site News is reporting anywhere from 160 to 180 kids that there's a photograph of all these open graves of them having this for all these kids that they're burying their kids.
But again, it comes down to we clearly see that the people who are waging this war have absolutely zero regard for any type of life whatsoever, no matter who it is, right? So, like, I don't like the outrage is really, really kind of like it's fake. Like there's so much fake outrage out there, right? Like think about it, right? People are being put in prison camps here. People are like dying here. Americans are being shot in the street, right? But like we're being told, yeah, those people deserved it, okay? And then, but we're supposed to care about, like, I thought we were all supposed to be America first. Like, the whole thing boggles my mind. It's like we're Argentina first, we're Greenland first, we're Cuba first, we're Venezuela first, we're now Iran first, right? Like, it seems like we're every place first but America.
Yes. Sorry, I'm trying to
You
look
know?
at the chat screen and my camera's in the way. There
And
it
and
is.
but but you see, my issue is that it shouldn't be. We should be humans first. Like we all live on this planet. Like
We should be species first. We're an entire species.
dignity, dignity and humanity should be first and foremost. And what we see is just a complete disregard for life among, right, like. And so I'm going to go back to something I referenced last time, right? The Epstein files made something perfectly clear to me. Okay, these people, right, these billionaires who were part of this organization, right, had a complete disregard for life. They didn't care about anybody. Okay, they didn't care about anything, anybody, or whatever it was. Their goal was to inflict as much harm as possible
I think it's
on as
more
many
that
people as possible.
they see themselves as superior, which is why
Yes.
they choose. So they regard their own lives and themselves, but the rest of us are expendable, especially little girls.
But what we're seeing now is we're now seeing that play out on a world scale, right? So what it was those files gave us a window into their psyche. And now what we're seeing is that psyche play out on a world scale with military behind it.
Yes.
Okay? So like again, I go back to this isn't just like right like all that geopolitical stuff. Okay, we could talk about all that geopolitical stuff, right? And what is exactly occurring and how much money people are making. These people are getting off on this,
Yeah.
right? Like they are getting like sexually aroused, right? By the sheer chaos and violence that they are creating around the world, right? This is what they want. This is what they get off on. This is what gets them going. Okay?
Can't they
Right?
just get Viagra?
I understand like it's hard to think that way. Okay? Right? But like just like
There is
anybody
a
who's read those files, like you can see this is what these people get off on.
Yep. Yeah.
They enjoy this shit. You
Yeah.
know, this is like them sitting around like oh, this is gonna be great. You know, we're gonna do this thing. You know, like even you can see Pete Hegseth. You know, he's running around like I mean the guy's all amped up.
He's a fucking
You know,
idiot.
right? Like this is like he's getting his rocks off on this shit.
Oh, I know. And not saying anything. We we didn't start this war, but we're gonna finish it. No, you literally started this war on Saturday morning. You literally started this war. You know.
Listen, Marco Rubio was his word salad was the best, right? Like he stood there and he was like, well, we knew that Iran would attack the United States if they were attacked, right? So we needed to make sure that we attacked them first before we were attacked, right? After they were attacked. And like somebody,
You
like,
know that I know that they know that you know that I know.
and it was like all of a sudden it was like wait a minute, who's going to attack Iran? And then like he was like, well, Israel. You know, like it was if it was like a foregone conclusion, and I'm like holy shit. You know, you talk about a fucking word salad. I mean, the guy was like all over the place. Like it was like one of these, you know, like one of these.
We have some fucking idiots running
that way.
Oh my god. We have
it was mind-boggling. It was really mind-boggling to watch that. I like watched that and I missed. I'm gonna say it again. I missed Donald Rumsfeld. You know, like at least he knew how to give a fucking press conference. I mean, shit. You know, I mean, I couldn't understand a word that fucking guy was saying. I really couldn't. It was horrible. It was fucking horrible. I like the mental jujitsu that you would need to go through.
Yes.
Right, to understand, right, his reasoning for going to war would absolutely be mind-boggling.
Hang on, I gotta. What is he saying here? I'm not sure if this means anything to you guys. There are a lot of military. That the war is. The war is what, Marty? That's Marty, right? Yes, that is Marty.
Yeah, he said, I'm not
1692.
sure if this means anything to you guys, but there are a lot of military personnel um, who filed complaints against high ranking officers. They were told by these officers that
That this war is
that
what?
that
Is
this
there
war
more?
is that this is war.
That this is
War
war.
is Armageddon. It is the beginning of the return of Jesus Christ, and our defense
Yes.
secretary on Friday goes to a White House prayer meeting talking about the comment of Christ.
Yeah. They're actually trying to tell people at multiple bases that this war is necessary because they're bringing about Armageddon, so they can bring Jesus back. Like Jesus is waiting for us to all kill each other.
Oh, like a crusade. I wonder how that went for who was it?
For the
King Louis?
Crusades. Yeah.
Wasn't it King Louis who did the or no,
Well,
it was
oh my God, that was what, like 1100 AD or something?
yeah, because
That's
we need
going way
another
back.
crusade in the Middle East, because those the West always does well with crusades in the Middle East.
Have we not learned? I mean, we can't seem to stay out of the fucking Middle East. It's either there or South America that we just go in and destabilize things and think it's going to work out good for us. It doesn't. It
No,
didn't in Libya.
again,
It didn't in Iraq. And here we are.
You see, just right there what you said. Right there what you said. Did you catch yourself saying it?
Say,
Good for
that we-
us.
no, I didn't say
You
that.
said good for us. You did. You said good for us. You said they think
No,
it's
that's-
going to be good for us.
Oh, they
Right?
think it's going to be good. Yeah, they think it's going to be good for us.
No. Here's the thing. It's not. They stopped thinking about what's good for America because they're not Americans.
That's true.
These are internationalists. Okay? They live and have money everywhere. Okay? So at the end of the day, all they're looking to do is extract as much wealth out of the United States. Okay? They don't care what's good for you. They don't care what's good for me. They don't even care what's good for the American people. It's all about what's good for their pocket. Okay? It's it. Period. This crusade is about what's best for their pockets. Period.
So when are we getting our pitchforks and rising up and going after these people? When do we ride at dawn?
I understand that Schumer is putting together a strongly worded letter to discuss that.
I hear Jeffries
And
is
with
going
that, we
to.
end.
No, we've one more thing. Jeffries is going to whip out the votes and whip it good. Yeah, that's what I said.
Strongly worded letter. He's got a strongly worded letter ready for us.
There we go. Oh my God, folks. We've got a rough ride ahead. But hey, as long as we're here and we support each other, maybe we'll make it through the other side. Would love to hear comments. Appreciate those that engaged. Sometimes a little shy to come in and ask us questions. That's okay. But as always, we're going to wind up here. This has been a dark conversation, but be optimistic. And, stop. Don't make a face.
Be a realist. Rise up and start taking action. That's what I'm going to leave.
That's the message.
Is the message is right? Like follow the lead of leaders in your community, local leaders in your community, like Kat Abba-Ghazaleh and Graham Plattner and various others, Afton Bain, who are speaking about these exact issues, right? They are from the left, they are from the right, they are from the center. They're all talking about these issues because we need accountability, responsibility, and we do need to put America and us, right? Everybody here, immigrants, Americans, you name it, everybody in this country first, not the billionaires.
That's it. And yes, you are absolutely right, Marty. Right here. Be prepared. Be prepared. All right, folks. So look, be safe out there. We want you to be safe. We love you. Watch us on I'll be posting some more videos that we always record on Sundays. We'll be back here next Tuesday, hopefully with a more positive topic, maybe.
If you have a topic that you'd like us to discuss, please let us know in the comments.
Pies and cake. All right. We'll see you soon. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Leave us a comment and look for us. Look for our videos coming up soon. All right. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Peace
Love you
out.
guys.